Okay, so if you work in the health and social care sector, perhaps you're a manager, perhaps maybe you're even the owner of the business. Yep, that's right. I'm talking to you. Yep, getting a bit crazy there right now. But this one thing, it ain't for you, most likely. That is human resources. What? The HR guy says it ain't for me. I may be a little bit facetious here, perhaps. Maybe you are one of those people that thinks HR, what is that and do I need that and it ain't for me. Maybe, just maybe, you're also thinking, I've got this all down and done with. I've been doing this stuff for years and years, donkey's years in actual fact. So why do I need HR? Or perhaps maybe it's just bureaucracy and it's freaking red tape. And you know what? In the health and social care sector, I've got plenty of red tape. Maybe I don't need no more. Thank you very much, sunshine. Perhaps maybe you think you've got this thing down. You've got it nailed. You've been doing it for years and you've already figured out the process of how to manage people in your business. Hey, maybe you've done HR in another life and you just got squidillions of hours and time on your hands where you can focus on this stuff yourself. Do you know what? I'm done. Let's whiteboard this shit. Whoop.
House music.
Okay, so let's get into this. Let's get started. Before I go any further, why the hell should you listen to me? Well, my name's Mike, if you haven't met me before, by the way, and I am the founder and owner of a company called Cavil. And we've been helping and supporting businesses to both increase their outputs and productivity and levels of patient care within the health and social care sector for over 7 years. And for me personally, with my youthful complexion, it may not look like it, but I've been working in HR for over 19 years. It scares me to say that and admit that on camera to everybody, but I have been. And in those 19 years, I've got to tell you, there is not much crazy shit that I've not seen or heard about or been in the presence happening in businesses. But even because I've been in that for 19 years and seen so much, doesn't mean I know everything. And one of the things I love about what I do is the variety. And there's endless amounts of new and crazier shit that's always happening. So I'm always learning, forever a student. But I have bundles of experience to offer, which qualifies me to talk about what I'm about to talk to you about right now. So, as we get started, we're saying this one thing, HR, it ain't for you. And of course, yes, I am being facetious. I am being ridiculous because I absolutely believe it 100% is for you and every business. Up and down the country, it is an important facet as soon as you start employing people, but it's not good enough. It is quite frankly, just sickeningly not good enough for me to just say and stand here as a person who has worked and loves working in HR to tell you how important people like me actually are. It's actually quite important to validate and verify these things every single time. And I don't want you to just aimlessly jump into this shit and get HR or hire an HR person or outsource your HR or do any of those sorts of things. And by the way, HR is not a sexy subject, right? It's really hard to try and make this actually something really fun and enjoyable. So I hope you'll follow this throughout the video as I try and transcend that and make this something that is actually quite quantifiable and important to you in your business right now for where you are. So what I want to do is I want to quantify and qualify why precisely this actually is important and something that should be important to you in your business. So let's go ahead and let's do that. So the first thing I want to start thinking about, and I want you to start thinking about, is what are the biggest costs, the biggest expenses to you in your business? What is the stuff that you are spending most of your freaking money on? So let's have a think about it. What are those biggest expenses that you have in your business? You could say rates, holy shit, absolutely, skyrocketing, especially this year. Everybody's rents and rates have skyrocketed, massive problem, totally get you there. Materials, resources, all those sorts of things, getting in gloves and, cleaning products and all that sort of stuff, massive, massive. Utilities, don't even get me started on utilities. But there are so many expenses that we've got here in terms of cost of your business. We've also got other, which covers everything but the people right now, right? You can get where I'm going with this. Everything but the people. But here's the thing. Even all of these, this is going to be in the mindfuck moment, right? All of these things and more all together as costs in your business, added up, do not come close to this one element that is the most expensive. The most expensive in your business. You guess where I'm going with this. Wait, drum roll please, here we go. Your biggest expense is not any of these. No. Your biggest expense is people. And for some reason, I've forgotten the ability how to write. But people are your biggest expense. Now this one, I knew they were your biggest expense. Cat out the bag there. Shock, I know, right? However, I didn't know how much of a big expense they were. And even when we researched this, it blew my mind, right? And I don't know why, because when I think about it logically, it makes perfect sense, to be honest with you. But it still did. Just seeing it kind of blew my mind, right? So how much of an expense are these people as a proportion of all your expenses in your business? Now, I'm talking specifically right now about health and social care businesses. However, it will be roughly around the same area for most businesses, especially those that need people. And I'm trying to think to myself now, how many businesses are there that operate without any human beings in them? Not many, right? So how big a percentage is that? You may be asking me right now. 60 to 70%. 60 to 70% of all of your costs in your business is on people. That means 30 to 40%, less than half, is going to be attributable to everything else. Just let that sink in for a minute. So the biggest, most costly thing in your business is going to be your people. Is that all? No, it's not. Because I want to delve in deeper as to why it's actually such a big expense. And I want to look at why it's something we want to focus on. So let's hit it up 1 minute. Bear with me. Okay, so we figured out that these people in your business are actually a big deal. They're actually your biggest cost in your business. But why are they your biggest, your biggest cost? Put my teeth back in my mouth for a second. I'm getting far too excited with this shit. Here we go. So this is why these people are really expensive to you. So according to the Manchester College, so the MNC or the MC, the average salary within the health and social care sector, based on probably 2023 stats, I think it is from memory, is 30K. £30,000. I know some people, you'll be watching this screaming, I wish, and others be thinking, holy crap, right? But that is the average quantified by the Manchester College as to the average salary within both healthcare and social care combined. Now, that's not everything for you as an employer, because if you employ somebody on average for £30,000 a year, you're not just paying £30,000 a year. And yes, I get it, employees don't actually receive the £30,000 a year, but that's not all. You have this thing called on costs. Now, on costs are comprised of two things when we're doing this evaluation. So to put this into perspective, it's comprised of employers' national insurance contributions, and it's comprised of the minimum level of pensions contributions. I get it, not everyone's going to opt into the pension, but bear with me for 1 minute. So on costs, they come to £5,040 on top of that. And that calculation comes from 13.8% national insurance contributions and 3% on pensions. Excuse me, I've forgotten the ability to draw and write. However, 13.8% on employers' national insurance contributions, 3% from pensions contributions. So therefore, 16.8% is what that is of that. That means that the total, let's just say, to make our lives easy, is 35k. That's the total cost to you as an employer. But that's not enough. Because bearing in mind as well, by the way, this is all law of averages. This is not saying everybody you employ is on 35k. This is the average amount, right? But when we just stop and think for a minute, you've got in the full-time equivalent, by the way, FTE, full-time equivalent. That is how many full-time people, potentially, or equivalent of full-time people, are employed within these sectors. So within healthcare, it is 1.3 million. 1.3 in the UK as of 2022-23 are within healthcare, FTE. Within social care, it's 1.5 million. So that's 2.8 million overall. Just did the quick maths in my head there. Thank you. Round of applause. Thank you very much. That's a heck of a lot of people, right? That's not a bad size in terms of the industry. And when you think about how many people, patients and people in adult social care that we're caring for, that's a pretty big deal. And those figures, by the way, come from the Office of National Statistics and Skills for Care. That's a pretty big deal of amount of people. So when you quantify that down to your business, if we said that we just took a figure out the air and said that a business employing 40 staff, which is a reasonable number of staff potentially, within the health and social care arena, your wage bill is going to be somewhere of 1.4 million per annum. 1.4 million per annum. Just on people. That's a pretty big deal when you think about it. Now, I get HR is not for every business. It's not even for every business in health and social care. And it's not even right in every single circumstance. But just for a minute, and we are going to delve deeper, but when you consider that in actual fact, the average salary is £30,000. Your average cost per person is about £35,000. We're employing roughly around about 2.8 million full-time equivalents within the industries per year at the moment in time as of 22-23. And that means that for a business just with 40 staff, your wage bill every single year is somewhere around about 1.4 million. Bearing in mind those are averages. So some will be lower and some will be drastically higher depending on the rates and roles that you've got in your business. You can see why 60 to 70% of your costs are just based on this alone. So let's go even deeper. Okay, so we've just gone through for a minute looking at the costs of the people in your business. I'm going to go a bit of a step further because we're looking at how much they cost as a percentage, 60 to 70% of your business. We've looked at the average cost. I want to go a step further and I want to actually say why that's actually an important cost. And I'm going to tell you that the people in your business are an asset. Now, you may have heard that before, you may believe that, and that's great, that's groovy. However, I did just use the word asset, and I do mean asset in its complete terminology that we're looking at right now. They are an asset. And the reason they're an asset is because I just want you to imagine you're working in health and social care. What other thing or asset in your business can have the impact that people can to driving up patient care, quality of service, meeting CQC standards? What else can have such a distinguishable, impactful outcome on the very people, the service you're there to provide, than the people in your business? I can't think of one. There isn't one. In fact, even the other assets that you have in your business that you quantify as an asset, they're only an asset when utilized by a person, when a person is using that in the provision of giving care to somebody. So you spend that money, and that money you're spending is worthwhile because the fact that these people are an asset. And your business, whether it's doing good or bad, whether you're providing good or bad services, it's all based on a framework, the very foundation of the people you've chosen to employ in your business. So people 100% are an asset. And the reason for that is, if we look at the definition, what's up with me today? The definition of an asset is a useful or valuable thing or person. A useful or valuable thing or person. How can the very people that are predicated are the foundation stone, the lifeblood of your business, giving the care, the service, day in, day out to the people you're there to look after, the patients, the individuals that come through the door, whatever business you have within health and social care, we've already established they're really fundamental and important. But what other thing is more important and valuable, or giving more useful and valuable support to you and your business and the people you care for, than the people within your business? So you pay that money, you take that cost willingly on the provision that you need these assets to be able to do what you do. Or quite frankly, you don't have a business. So let's have a look at the alternative to that. Because what I would say is, as well as not all managers are equal, not all businesses are equal. And I'm going to say something you might take out of turn here, but not all people are equal either. And I'm not talking about equalities for a minute, so just take that out of the conversation, the caveat that we all have to put in. But not all people are equal. And the reason for that is because not all people that you hire, not everybody employed in your business is, of course, an asset. No, not all people are useful. It sounds awful. And not all people are valuable with the service that they're providing. So what is the counter to that? What are those people in your business? And by the way, there's no point in hiding and saying, we don't have any of those. I know you do. You know you do. We all have those people. And it happens in business. So let's not run and hide under the carpet here and try and pretend the monster's not under the bed. It's there. Let's have a look. So not everybody is an asset. People in general are assets within your business. They have a huge impact in your business, 100%. So what's the alternative to that? Well, if people aren't an asset, in other words, something that is helping you to grow and scale your business, helping you to increase and provide the best level of service and care that you ultimately can, helping you to remain fully compliant with CQC and other regulations that are out there that you have to abide by. If they are not doing that, given what we've spoken about, the fact that on average they're going to cost you £35,000 per year in total, then I've got to tell you, if they're not an asset, they just are quite simply a cost. That's right. They're just a cost. They're going to be something that's costing you and your business money. You're spending out on something that is not helping your business to grow. It is not helping your business to scale. It's not helping with the provision of service, and it's not helping with the level of care that you're providing. It's probably going to be the opposite to helping. It's going to be impactive. It's just a cost. So when you look at the definition of a cost, it's the cause of a loss or unpleasant circumstance. Well, if someone's like having your business, they've got to be one of those two things, surely. And that really touches down onto something that's really important to me and should be important to you, which is if I don't need HR, which is great, you don't all need HR. and I got this stuff handled myself, which you may well do as well in your own business, I've got this huge outlay on this grouping of people which are an asset within my business. And there are going to be a proportion of people within the people that are in my business right now that actually aren't an asset at all, that I am spending money on, that are causing a loss or unpleasant circumstance that is harming my business, and they are a cost. And what happens is, in most businesses, in most circumstances, businesses, this is really difficult because it's a human being. It's not turning on and off a machine and getting a new one in. These people are really difficult. They're really complicated. And we're going to go through why in a minute. But that means that when you identify you actually do have a cost that is impacting on your business in a negative way, we're a little bit more risk adverse to deal with it. We're more likely to sit with the cost, to move the cost around rather than deal with the cost. And that pretty much is a really good rationale on its own right as to why you probably need some expertise to help you to do that, to stop having costs and perhaps to get more assets within your business. Assets help, costs hinder. You want something that's going to be there to help distinguish the difference between the two in your business and to help sure you get more of one than the other. That must be another core reason as to why HR is probably a good thing in your business. But there's more. Let's get onto that. So, this is why it's all so important. It really, really is. It's because I don't think there are many other areas or sectors within the UK that are as regulated as the health and social care. Not even in the world when I put it in that kind of context. And we all know why. When you say that it's heavily regulated, you're dealing with people, their health, their well-being, their care. Well, of course, it should be heavily regulated, the same way as education should be in other aspects of our life, no doubt. But health and social care, but none other, is really heavily regulated. And there's a specific reason for that. I mean, when you think about it, you've got the Health and Social Care Act. By the way, this is not an exhaustive list. The Health and Social Care Act, Care Act, you've got GDPR, you've got the fundamentals and standards, which is governed and run by the CQC to ensure that everybody is meeting all of these regulations that we're talking about. There are so many hoops, loops of fire that you, as a business, have to jump through in any case. So when you put that out there, and then you mix that in with probably one of the areas that is the most legalistic and litigious, employment law and employing people, which you have no other alternative but to do in your business, it really can become a big recipe for disaster or a massive concern, at the very least, for most businesses within this sector. So if that's the regulations, and by the way, yes, it's the tip of the iceberg, but if we're talking about one of the most highly regulated sectors, meeting probably one of the most regulated and litigious groups, that really is something quite significant and big. You'd have to think, obviously. So maybe let's have a look at why are people and why is employing people so legalistic and also so litigious? Is it actually all those things, Mike? Prove it. Okay, I will. So, knocking stuff over 1 minute, right? Let's just backtrack a little bit for 1 second. So we have identified so far that in your business, you are going to employ people. People are a key component to your business in the provision of what you're looking to do. The average cost per individual in your business, in your sector, is £35,000 per year. And working that back using like a 40 people in business, you're going to be spending roughly about 1.4 million per year on those people. They are an asset. You also get costs. We know that the health and social care industry as a total is one of the most highly regulated industries in the UK, bar none. And then we mix that with probably the biggest most regulated grouping of people that are the most legalistic and litigious group, and you have a recipe for quite a complicated scenario, right? But why is it? And is it actually even what I said it is? So I think it's important to give you some premise and facts on where I'm getting those figures from. So this is from Brody's LLP, but when you look at it in June 2023, there were 471,000, open cases. So just to caveat that, we haven't got the stats for the current year right now. So 2023, as of the end of June, there were 471,000 cases that were currently open with the Employment Tribunal Service. That's a lot, right? When you think about it. And then it gets even deeper. So just picking on two areas of the law, there's lots of different areas within employment law, but two really common areas is unfair dismissal and discrimination. So when you look at unfair dismissal, the higher level for unfair dismissal, bearing in mind a lot of this is going to be based upon individuals' earnings and damages to feelings and other bits and pieces, which makes that really complex. And by no means is everyone going to fall into the higher limit, but it gives some kind of idea of what we're looking at here. £165,000 in 2023. That was the higher level that had been paid out. The average was £12,000. The average cost for unfair dismissal claim in 2022-23 was £12,000. Then it gets worse. So you look at discrimination. Discrimination doesn't have a ceiling. Unfair dismissal has a ceiling as to what you can pay. Discrimination doesn't have a ceiling. It's uncapped. It depends on the case. But the highest in 2022-23 was 1.7 million. 1.7 million. And even if we just took one area of a protected characteristic to focus on, like disability, in 2022-23, it was £45,000. Average, £45,000. You can see that you have the most regulated industry, one of the most regulated industries in the world, and we all know why, and it's right that it is, mixed with a healthy blend of the most legalistic and litigious grouping, and you put the two together and you do have a really complex stew that can actually have even more significant costs to you. And there's nowhere to hide, there's nowhere to run. You need people in your business. You cannot operate a business in the health and social care industry right now without human beings. You need human beings to help and support other human beings. That's the way the world we're in right now as of the year that we're in. Okay, AI has not fixed that yet. This is a problem. So when you have those individuals in your business that are a cost, remember the cost is something that's creating potentially a loss or an unpleasant consequence to your business. The negative impacts on your business. You either have the risk of carrying on with something that's going to have a detrimental impact on your business. And by the way, it won't just stay at one person. These things grow and expand because it's setting unfulfilled standards, which is a whole other video within your organization. It's basically a plummet to the bottom of a makeup of people who are not there for you and are not providing the best level of care and services for the people you're there to support and provide care to. So when you have those people, you keep them, there's a great degree in risk of a huge harm to your business or the people you're there to care for. That's a no-no, right? But then when you try to manage those people, there's these costs and risks that you run, which are endemic for every business, regardless of industry, by the way, because it is a grouping. Employing people is part of running a business. People go hand in hand with that. To run and grow and scale a business, you need people to be able to do that with. You can't do that as one person. So there are those risks that are there. Again, so when you say that we've got all of these costs, we've got assets within our business, that on its own is a rationale and a reason why HR is probably needed within your organization, rather than creating red tape By the way, there are arms and there are people in HR and there are services of HR even that do precisely that I would say are not what you need. However, when you look at the provision of HR as a total of what it's meant to be, it isn't really creating red tape as such. It actually should be helping you to strategically run your business effectively, to grow and scale, to give the best quality of care and the best productivity in your organization you could probably achieve, and reduce the risks of your business to these elements here. Increase the level of assets, reduce the level of costs, and take away as much as feasibly possible the risks. Those on their own are all huge reasons. And that really, in a nutshell, is a real quantifiable reason why HR is so important in your business. So let's have a look a little bit more. Okay, so I'm hoping with this video, all things being good and well, and my very wavy understanding of SEO with the video, hopefully you're working within health and social care, you're a manager in the health and social care, or you own and run a business in the health and social care arena. So those things being said, it's logical to think that your expertise probably lie within health and social care, right? I mean, if I'm coming in to get care, if I have an elderly relative that's looking for care, I want it to be provided by people that have their qualities, training, expertise, experience, skill sets within the health and care arena. I mean, that makes logical sense, right? So that all being well, it's probably equally right to say that your expertise don't lie within managing people or HR or employment law. I mean, what a weird combination that would be. In fact, when I've worked within the NHS, one of the biggest things that I've always found was working within the NHS, which I love, but has so many other issues, again, a whole other thing. But when you have nurses, a nurse that goes through their training, their qualifications, and they get up to being a qualified nurse, it's all provisioned around the provision of care. It isn't built in with the possibility that person's going to become a manager. So when you get someone who's going from a qualified nurse to a senior nurse, there isn't that level of training in between. In fact, it's probably predicated on the fact that you are really good at being a nurse and doing the provision of care that you're working on, that drives you to be able to get up with your experience to potentially looking to go for jobs within the level and sphere of a senior nurse. And the biggest problem with that is as soon as you go higher up the hierarchy of an organization, whatever that organization is, the more you are dealing with people, the more you are herding cats than you are doing the thing you actually trained to do. That's the truth about it. Like, for example, if we take something completely left field for a minute, if you are qualified as a marketer and you've done a whole load of marketing training and exams, you've got your MBA and all these other sorts of bits and pieces, as you progress up the organization or through that career pathway, might be over a multitude of different businesses, the higher up you go, the more you're dealing with people and strategy than you are dealing with marketing. And that's just the simple truth. And health and social care is absolutely no different. So if you take it in that particular way, your area in skills and expertise is, as it should be, absolutely correctly geared towards health and social care. That makes logical sense. But we've already established, as soon as you start going ahead with your business or operating as a manager within a health and social care business, the likelihood is you're going to be dealing with more people and people-related problems, not just the people that you're caring for. And it's not where your area of expertise lie. And that's another real significant reason as to why HR is really important in your business. So I just want to do a rough recap, and I know I've done it throughout the video already, but realistically, HR is not for everybody. You don't need it in every single business, not even every health and social care business. You don't. I'm an HR person. We sell and provide HR services. In fact, that's a lie. We don't sell HR services. We provide our productivity booster and we give our HR services for free. But even in that role, I'm telling you, it doesn't apply to everybody. And We've already said and established in other videos, there are so many different avenues you can go through to get your HR. The point of the matter is before you go ahead, as I've seen in so many posts on social media, and I've spoken to so many business owners and managers throughout my lifetime, especially within the organization we're in, before you go ahead and make a flippant remark that actually HR ain't for you and you don't need it in your business, you've got to really understand exactly what's below that and what that means before you just make that remark and you don't need it, or it's just a bureaucratic red taped process that's going to cause me more harm in my business than good. Well, if you get a bad HR person in your business, it's going to operate the same way as everyone else. It'll be a cost. If you outsource your HR to a business that doesn't really do everything you need, it's going to be a cost. If you operate in the scenario that you yourself are doing the HR and it's not where your area of expertise lie, and why should it, and you're taking on all those risks and costs, you yourself in your role will become a cost in your own business. So before you go ahead and say it's not, there's a lot of reasons why it probably is something you absolutely need. So working our way back here methodically, the average cost to you of employing somebody is £35,000 plus per year. That's just the average. It's not every role, the average. When you extrapolate that to the fact that there's 2.8 million people at the moment in time within both the health and social care sectors, you can see that realistically you're going to be employing quite a few people, but working on 40 people in your business, the cost is roughly around about £4.4 million per annum every single year. And you're going to be north and south of that in most businesses. And that's actually going to account for 60 to 70% of all of your costs and expenses in your business. That's a phenomenal amount of your costs and expenses in your business are on one thing. And that one thing so happens to be the most costly, the most complex, and the largest thing you're going to have in your business. And when you put that within a business, which is highly regulated, one of the most highly regulated industries within the UK, mixed with the most litigious and legalistic grouping within the UK, you have a recipe of a big disaster, especially when you throw into that scenario that you and your managers and your team are most likely not the best placed people to deal with that. And that's why it's a very strong consideration to have HR in your business. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so if this has been of any help, any use to you whatsoever, and you would like to find out more, if that's what you'd like to do, there's a link in the description below. Help yourself to it if you wanted to. Just full disclosure, it is a funnel. There is no webinars that are on there, no bullshit, no BS whatsoever. It's literally come through, fill in a form, and we will see if there is a possibility we could even work with each other and get to learn a bit more about yourselves. Either way, if this has been a smidgen of support for you and you've come all the way through the bitter end of this video, first of all, thank you so much, and I hope I haven't been too irritating. However, I would be so eternally grateful if you could just drop a like, give us a subscribe, maybe share the video. I would be so helpful for those things if you could. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. Peace and out.